And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
It's not often that I get excited about a game based purely on the theme, but here we have Evolution, The Origin of Species, which is a game from a Russian company that will play 2 to 4 players in about 30 minutes to an hour, and it's about evolving species, getting new species, giving them new traits, fighting other species, and best making your species survive in order to earn victory points. So you're going to be playing cards and adding to your creatures, and then you'll have to feed them, and then at the end of the game, whoever has the most surviving creatures will win. So now that I've given you that brief overview, let's take a look at how the theme plays into the game, and then what my thoughts are on it. So here you see everything that comes in the box for Evolution Origin of Species. So this is a card game, quite obviously, as indicated by the huge deck of cards. Apparently some of which are flipped the wrong direction. But that doesn't matter. Also, you get some tokens. You can see these tokens here. They're actually flat little plastic pieces. Not the best pieces, but not terribly bad. They come in red, blue, and kind of tannish here. Red being food, blue being extra food, and tan being fat. You're also going to get a pair of dice, which are available for determining how much food is available each round. Each player is going to get a hand of 6 cards, which will all have this lizard on the back. And so each player will start the game with a hand of 6, and these cards are going to represent 2 things. The game is going to take several rounds to play, and each round is going to be divided into different phases. The first phase, I'll just stop and call it in a second. The first phase of each round is called the development phase. And in the development phase, players are going to be making new animals by playing their cards. So let's say, for example, I had these 6 cards. I would be able to play 1 card per turn in the phase in order to make new animals. And cards can be played in 2 ways. First, they can be played face down, which will be creating a new animal. And you're allowed to have as many animals as you like, but you're going to have to feed them. The other way cards can be played is face up as traits. And so, for example, you can see here that this card is called Running. And it says whenever your animal with this trait is attacked by a carnivore, roll a die. If the die roll is a 4, 5, or 6, survive. The attacking carnivorous animal cannot attack another animal during this turn. So basically, you could play this on your animal, and now it is better able to escape from carnivores, potentially. And so you're going to be building animals by adding traits and making them better and more survivable. So for example, this one gives the animal fat tissue. He can eat extra food, and he'll actually be able to store up food from turn to turn. Or you could flip this card over and make him high body weight, which is going to make him require more food, meaning that he'll need 2 food each round, but he can only be attacked by other high body weight carnivorous animals. So this would go underneath this animal, and now he needs 2 food, but he's also worth extra victory points at the end of the game. Carnivore is going to make you able to attack other animals on your opponent's side. So we're just showing one player's side here, but each player would have their own tableau of animals. And you would be able to place these cards out, and let's say, for example, I made my running animal a carnivore. So now he needs more food, but he's also able to eat other animals. When a carnivore eats other animals, which it may only be able to eat based on other traits that are happening, so, it may not be able to eat the running animal, or if it's not high body weight, it may not be able to eat a high body weight animal. But carnivorous animals can eat either your opponent's animals or your own animals. And in doing so, they'll actually get some of this extra food from the side here. And this would go on the animal, and essentially that animal would be fed. But that's part of the feeding phase, so let's hold that for now. But essentially, each round in the development phase, players will be playing cards either face down or face up to add traits or add animals to their tableau in order to try and score victory points later. After everybody is done feeding, you're going to look and see if any of these animals need more food tokens, and if they do, they're going to be removed from the board. So let's say, for example, our carnivore wasn't able to eat any animals on his turn, and he's going to die off. All of these cards would be added to a discard pile, which would be next to the deck. After the extinction phase, players are going to draw cards based on how many surviving animals they have. For example, if a player has 1 surviving animal, they're going to draw 1 card plus 1 for their 1 surviving animal. So essentially, you're going to draw 1 extra card for each surviving animal you have. So if you were to have 4 surviving animals, you would draw 5 cards, adding them to your hand. The game will end when the deck is depleted, and then you'll go through 1 more turn. At the end of that turn, you're going to score points. You're going to get 2 points for each animal you have that survives, and 1 point for each trait on a surviving animal. You may also get additional points for extra cards, which would give you plus to your food requirement. So for example, high body weight would be worth 1 extra point. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points on the board is going to be the winner. So that's how Evolution Origin of Species plays out. And despite my initial excitement about the theme, I have to say that I was a little bit disappointed in the gameplay. Now, I wouldn't call it a bad game. I would just say that it might have a little bit of a tendency for a runaway leader type of scenario. And the reasoning is as follows. When you draw cards at the end of the phase, you get more cards for having more surviving animals. So if you manage to keep all of your guys alive, which is already putting you into a beneficial situation, you end up getting more cards to further benefit your beneficial situation, giving you more choices to choose from for traits, more cards to use for animals, and just generally giving you a better chance at winning. So perhaps if there was some type of compensatory mechanism to make the loser perform a little bit better, I think that the game might shine a little more. Now, I think the game will also shine more with more players. With fewer players, you're going to see a little bit more of a just back and forth, I'm going to kill your animal, you're going to kill my animal, where with more players you're going to try and see more balancing across the board rather than just the direct attacking that you get from 2 people. So if you're looking for an interesting card game where you can build out species and it's going to be varying from game to game with different species, different traits, and a different interaction each time, I'd say Evolution Origin of Species is an interesting game. I just don't think it's a great game.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.